All right. We are connected. All right. Infernal greetings, infernal blessings to all on YouTube. Hopefully y'all can hear us. I believe you can. But this evening. All right. We are connected. There it is. All right. Infernal greet. So we're going to be discussing this evening with the brother Beast of the Laboratory. We're going to have a discussion about the importance of creating your own rituals, why it's important to create your own ritual. It's necessary to create your own ritual. So we're going to go into different kind of rituals as it pertains to the individual, and therefore how it pertains to your work on this adversarial path, left-hand path. All right. So first of all, my brother Beast of the Laboratory, unmute yourself and then introduce yourself to those here in YouTube land. Let them know who you are, your contact information, what you do, so on and so forth.
All right. Well, I go by Beast of the Laboratory. I am a spiritualist, a craftsman, and I would call myself a left-hand path practitioner. If you're into anything like ritual tools, altar tools, talismans, even just a nice piece of jewelry, I got you. I can do all of that. My contact information is Beast of Laboratory on Instagram and on TikTok. And through there, you should be able to find my big cartel shop, which is Demonical Eye. So, yeah, that's who I am.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Now, my brother, he has some really excellent work. So be on the lookout on his sites, on his social media. He creates a lot of great jewelry, a lot of different things that you all may want to get a special something made for yourself or even for someone else. Now, give me 1 second because for some reason this is not connected. Yeah, hold on. I don't understand why. Give me 1 second.
I like that Darth Malgus background, by the way.
Appreciate it. That's one of my favorite ones. So
same here, man.
Yeah. All right, let me see if this is why this is. Oh, it says we're live. All right, whatever. I'll figure this out, man. This thing's retarded sometimes, bro. But all right, let me go into this. Let me see. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Understand what the heck? I still mess these things up. Don't even know why I mess them up, but whatever.
It's technology, man. It's what it is.
Yeah. So the point. Let's get straight into the point here. And start to rock out from there. All right. Now, why do you feel a practitioner, an adept, a whatever they want to call themselves, okay? Why do you feel it is important for an individual to create their own rituals?
I mean, what greater way to prove to yourself that you're God? Creating your own ritual work that is completely self-generated, which is something that we know a deity to be capable of. Doing that within yourself and seeing that expressed in three-dimensional space, that's one of the greatest ways to prove to yourself that you really are limitless and that you really can do anything. I mean, that sense of pride and self-confidence that comes from seeing your results from something that you created, even if you got it out of a book, which I don't have a problem with, you know. We all had to start somewhere. I mean, if you wanted to get a ritual out of a book and tweak it a little bit to suit your needs, you still did it yourself. You still in a way questioned what you read and said to yourself, I might be able to do this a little bit better to suit what I needed to do. You know, so I feel like creating your own rituals is one of the best ways to prove to yourself that you can do anything and all things.
Facts. Now, let me add on to that as well.
Hmm.
When you create your ritual, as my good brother stated, it is a marker to see what you as a Black Adept practitioner on the left-hand path are able to do. What you're able to accomplish is of the greatest importance. And one of the reasons is, for example, when you, people will do rituals, right? And this is for those out there who may do this or not do this. When you do a ritual and you get to the invocation part, this is where I find that some individuals are having difficulty because we're so used to doing things in a certain way, certain format. When you do a ritual, the greatest part of the ritual is not so much the symbols, sigils, etc. Not so much your statues. Those are good because it creates a certain atmosphere and opens up certain energy, especially if you do continuous work in front of an altar. But let's say you're lacking an altar, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is the most important part of a ritual is your invocation. Okay. And I'm going to say why. The reason why it's important is because when you need to tap into your subconscious mind, yes, the sigil works because it helps alter your state of consciousness if you keep meditating on it, so on and so forth. But when you're doing something arithmetically, such as the invocation, a chant, a mantra, whatever, what happens is that also alters your state of consciousness to a different effect. But when you say the invocation, what is happening is your ears are picking up your auditory sound. Problem is, some people say invocations and keep the rituals and try to do it all in their head. Sounds good, but do you realize that the more you speak out loud, the more you program yourself? If you want to program yourself and you look in the mirror for 21 straight days to remind yourself who you are, what you are, so on and so forth, the auditory sound, loud, direct, with confidence, programs your subconscious mind to what you want it to be. And I've met people who do invocations and whisper it. I've met people who've done invocations and don't even say it out loud when they're doing their ritual. That doesn't have as much of a profound effect as when you do a ritual loud, clear, with confidence. Now,
real shit.
Now, as the brother was sharing, creating your own also has an effect that is even more profound. When you do and create your own ritual and you create your own invocation, you are basically reaffirming to yourself who you are, and what you want to become. Those three things are happening simultaneously. So the importance of creating your ritual is astronomical, but especially when you do an invocation, because that's when your subconscious mind is more aware of what you're trying to convey, of what you're trying to promote. And execute. So when you do this invocation, you should put yourself in the place. Now, this might hurt some people's feelings, but it's okay. We'll get past it. We'll get past it tonight, y'all. You should put yourself in place of the deity, demon, or archetype you currently are working with. What? Blasphemy. Yeah, well, you're still religious if you don't see it. I'm not telling you that you can't say hail Bilal, hail Set, whatever you want to hail. You can hail whatever, okay? But it is more important to hail yourself in the place of those archetypes, demons.
And the archetype as an aspect of yourself as well.
Exactly. So you can say, let's say you start off your invocation, say, hail Satan, which is I, the dark one, the master of chaos, for I master my own chaos and transform it, in so on and so forth. That's just an example of how you can create an invocation, putting yourself in that place. I'm not telling you to totally eliminate that deity if you still need it. But what I'm saying is, if one of the main goals of the left-hand path is apotheosis, self-deification, why do we feel we still need to put a name in front of our own? Not our name in front of what we're doing, but a name of an entity, an energy, a force, as if you're not as great as what you are placing there in the first place.
It's a form of groveling, straight up. I mean, like you said earlier, I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings, but it really is a form of groveling, again, if you don't see it. Facts. You know, I mean, just because you're groveling to Satan and you're empowered, you're still on your fucking knees, man. You know?
That's a fact. That's a fact. And one of the things that people miss out on is exactly what you said. You could hail Satan 1,000,000 times, but some point in time, you have to realize you are Satan. You have to realize you are Lucifer. You have to realize you are Belial. You have to realize you are whoever, Lilith.
Exactly.
You understand? You have to realize these things, because that is when you start to ascend towards your apotheosis or descend to your apotheosis. Now catch that. Everybody thinks you have to ascend to reach self-mastery. Who said that? When in fact, you don't. In fact, you may have to descend to reach apotheosis. That's
part shit. Yeah. Some of the most potent visualizations and exercises, I believe I actually got it from either you or Beniti, but it has to do with going downward on a staircase, you know, until you reach a doorway or some kind of portal or something, you know, like going down into your subconscious mind, basically, you know, in order to figure some shit out or invoke something or something like that. So, yeah.
Exactly. So let's deal with the spiral descending staircase. All right. Let me ask you this, brother. What is the importance in the fact that we're creating our own rituals of actually doing something like going spiral downward, or doing a ritual that kind of tricks the subconscious mind to sleep? I mean, not subconscious, sorry. Tricks the conscious mind to sleep so the subconscious could be awake. What is the importance when you create a ritual for that happening?
When you create a ritual for that happening, I'm going to say, just from my personal experience with doing that visualization, that exercise, for me, I gained greater levels of insight into myself, greater levels of creativity as well. because I remember, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't done it in a while, but I do remember when I was doing it on a regular basis, like the things that were coming forth from my subconscious were incredible, beautiful, sometimes terrifying things, and they gave me greater insight into parts of me that I didn't, that I either forgot about or that I didn't even know existed. So with that knowledge, I was able to add that into creating my own ritual work, and plus, like I said, also like just the singing of what my subconscious is capable of, like the most terrifying shit. I just see the beauty in that and add that into my ritual workings.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. All right. So let's continue. Now, give an example of a format an individual could use to create their own ritual. Since we're speaking about the importance of creating a ritual, give them an example of how an individual could create their own ritual. What format could they use? Because sometimes I think you said it earlier, sometimes we get reliant on these books and these other authors who have created rituals in there already.
Mm.
But then we get lost when it comes to creating our own ritual. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, what do I do? And give them an example of format, because some of them may not realize what kind of format they could use.
Well, I mean, there's a couple. There's a couple. I mean, one of the most potent, I'm gonna say, is definitely I ain't got shit. you know, I ain't got no candles, I ain't got no incense, I ain't got no altar or altar space, I ain't got no ritual blade, I ain't got no money. You don't have shit, like that right there will cause you it will create a certain level of stress that you can apply to your ritual working in order to create your own ritual work. And I hope that made sense.
Yeah.
But as far as like a practical application, I guess one of the simplest ones that I've used many times is geometrical shapes. For instance, a triangle. You could place a certain aspect of yourself at each point of the triangle or the square or the fucking decagon, whatever you want to use, and put yourself in the center in order to enhance those aspects of self on an even greater level.
Correct. All right. Now, let's say we do create a triangle, right? And we're going to put ourselves in the middle, okay? In the middle of the triangle. So why would the middle of the triangle be important? Like you said, each point is also important, but being in the middle of the triangle, how would that benefit an individual who just created their own ritual?
Well, the way that I always look at it is I'm the center of the triangle. I'm at the center of all things. All things are generated from me. And let's say that I feel like prosperity and abundance is a little bit outside of my grasp. I say that wisdom and insight are a little bit outside of my grasp. I say that greater physical healing is a little bit outside of my grasp. Me as the center and doing the ritual, I'm doing my best to pull those things in through invocation, through visualization, things like this. So I believe that's the importance of putting oneself at the center of all things. When it comes to, if you want to use a geometrical shape or whatever, I mean, even if you have an altar, you still have to realize that you are God. You are the pinnacle of all things.
X.
In your immediate vicinity, nothing moves unless you fucking say it can move.
X.
And that's what it is. If you don't have that realization and that confidence and that belief in yourself, then it's very difficult to issue forth the willpower necessary to generate the desired result. I mean, you may learn how to do it through just consistent effort, and that can build self-confidence. But if you first work on the building block, the foundation of the realization that you are the only deity in your existence, then it's a lot easier. It's a lot simpler because you already have that behind you. You know, and everything at the center, again, everything issue forth from that.
That's correct. Now, to continue a little further, bring that, we're going to bring that a little further. So you did a ritual, let's say, and you were at the center of the triangle and you used 3 points to bring 3 manifestations into your life. Now, why that's very important, as the brother is sharing, is because when you are not in front of an altar, the work you did within that triangle now will benefit you. What do I mean? The greatest marker of your work is how you can create a ritual when you're not in front of an altar. How you can create a ritual in the moment. So let's say you did this ritual and now you're out and about, okay? And a situation is occurring that what you asked for is now manifesting in front of your very eyes.
Love that shit.
Exactly. Now, because you did the work, you now became the living altar. This is why also creating your ritual is so important, because you become the living altar. People sometimes cannot do work outside of an altar because they're so conditioned that everything is in front of my altar, my altar, my altar, and fail to realize you are the altar. Whatever you do in the altar, in front of the altar, in your rituals, you carry with you outside of your altar.
Everything that you do at your altar should be to enhance self.
Exactly.
It should be to enhance that deity that you see when you look in the fucking mirror, that you see when you take a shit. Like everything that you do at your altar should be to empower that part of you. Exactly. And that's all there is to it. So that, like you're saying, if you're walking around and you see some shit, you should be able to think it. You should be able to fucking snap your fingers or some shit. Something. Exactly. To activate that aspect of self in order to fucking either stop something or generate something.
Exactly. So let's go with that. So 21 straight days you did this ritual. 21 straight days, which now scientists have proved it takes 21 days to create a new habit, right? A new habit and a new groove within your subconscious mind. So you did this ritual inside the triangle for 21 days for manifestation, for self-mastery, so on and so forth. Now you're outside, and this is when you start to see, when you're away from your altar, how powerful your work really can be. Because if you do this certain, let's say, invocation for 21 straight days, your subconscious mind has now shifted and created a new magnetic attraction to bring in what you've been working for or towards this whole time. The problem that happens is, keyword, if your ritual is not building your confidence about yourself, for yourself, building up your confidence, and you still doubt, then you will miss when what you're doing the ritual, you'll miss those manifestations right in front of you because you still are doubting. Did I really do this? Did I really bring this about? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you don't ask that question with joy behind it, you could really fuck up some shit. All your hard work, all those 21 days are out the window because you're not exuberant and excited, you know, and telling your subconscious mind that you want to see more of that.
Exactly. Now, so we create this ritual. Now we're out and about. We're doing this. We're attracting what we want. Okay. This is what it means to become self-realized, to become a master over self, is knowing that it is already yours, knowing that this is yours. The Sith have a philosophy. They don't ask and wait. They take what is
Yeah.
theirs. Do you understand? They take what is there because it is, some things are naturally yours, but we lack the confidence and miss it. So therefore, when we miss it, we don't see it, right? Because we're still like not sure of our own powers. You got to be able to take it, take what is rightfully yours. If you do a ritual and say, this is mine, this is what I feel is mine, this is what I'm working towards, then you should be able to not feel guilt or remorse when you just snatch it and take it. Okay. But the problem is we still like to beg and ask as if it's not already ours. See, you can't do a ritual still begging and asking.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do rituals as if it's already yours. This is why at the end you usually say, you know, some people say, so mote it be, right? That's more Freemasonic thing like that. Some people say, so it is. Whatever the case, you're just stamping it like, okay, this has already happened. What's happened is once you stamp it, you're just propelling yourself forward into the future to the point where you meet that day where it's yours. You understand? But from here to there, we start to get, what should I say? We start to lose confidence. We start to get shaky on it. But here's the problem. You're shaky because you still think this is Harry Potter and shit's supposed to happen right then and there. It's not always the case. Yes, a lot of times it can happen immediately. Other times it can't. But there's a lot of reasons why things don't happen overnight or instantly. That a lot of that has to do with the self.
Hell yeah. And just real quick to cut in, but I found that, like, for me personally, I had to deal real hard and real thoroughly with a part of myself that believed that I didn't deserve just anything. You know, I knew that there was at some point I realized that there was a part of me that, I hate to use the technical type of talking, but like that was installed when I was a child, that believed that I didn't deserve good things. I didn't deserve safety and shit like that, you know?
That's
So
facts.
yeah. So I mean, that's another thing. That's another good thing about working with creating your own rituals, because you tap into aspects of the subconscious that can also bring about healing once you see these things.
Bingo. Oh, let's take it from there, from childhood, right? A lot of us have been indoctrinated, programmed, and ingrained
like a motherfucker, yeah.
that you're not entitled to abundance and success, abundance, prosperity, success, whatever that is to you, that it is. Because abundance and prosperity is not always financial. It could be health. It could be all kinds of things. But just this is where a lot of that comes from. Some of us grew up watching cartoons. I know I did. I was a cartoon junkie when I was younger, right? And superheroes are an example of programming. And I'll give you an example what I mean. I'll just use this as a tidbit, right? A little segue into this. We're always taught in society that to be rich is to be evil. Well, let me say that again.
Yeah.
To be rich is to be evil.
Even with Batman, he's an asshole in real life when he's not Batman.
Exactly. But see, here's the thing. Look at the superheroes. And the ones who are rich usually tend to be villains. Dr. Doom, right?
Luthor.
Yeah. Lex Luthor. Super rich scientists, whatever the case, but they're multi-billionaires. But a lot of times, not all the time, a lot of times they tend to be villains. One of the few rich superheroes was Bruce Wayne, and he had no powers, really, like no superpowers, right? Think about that. He just was a technological wizard and master.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look this repetitively, as a young child, what's happening is you, in your mind, your subconscious mind, you're associating wealth with villains, with evil, with wrong as they portray it. So therefore, when it comes to you growing up, you already have a negative stigma in view about success financially.
That's
And then
real
we
shit.
wonder why we struggle financially is because we think it's something separate from us. We think it's something that's different than us. And in actuality, we forget that it is our birthright as well to be abundant and prosperous. See, this is why the childhood healing is so important and is very necessary, because something as simple as cartoons, which we think is something innocent, right? Something simple as cartoons could be very detrimental to our mental health.
Hell yeah.
So now we're as the individual creating your own ritual. Here's another reason why I'm segueing to this, the importance of why it's necessary to create your own rituals. An author, a spiritual guru or teacher is not you. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is they're not you, so they do not understand your dynamics. They do not understand your trauma. They don't understand your pain, how you feel it, see it, and experience it. Only you know that. So by you creating your own ritual, you're able to target and attack and confront areas of yourself that no one can do for you but you.
Yeah, man.
That is one of the major importances of creating your own ritual, because only you know yourself, and therefore you should take the task upon yourself to create your own ritual. One of the things we do in the classes on Patreon is give you templates so that eventually when you do get to that point, you are creating your own rituals. All the classes comes to a point where eventually you have to create your own rituals.
That's
because
dope.
the purpose is for you to be the master over yourself. We're sharing our experiences to, give you some examples to help you along the way. But essentially, you all have to create your own ritual, not taking anything away from Asenath Mason, E.A. Coetting, Michael W. Ford, and all that. Not taking things away from those people and others on the left-hand path. Not taking away their work is good, but their work is not you. If you understand what that means, their work is not you. They writing in general, creating rituals in general for people who need that. But you have to be able to create your own ritual, because only your ritual that you create is stamped 100% by your energy. No one else's, only yours is stamped on that.
Exactly. And I'm gonna jump in real quick and say, like, another part of creating your own rituals that people may want to include is coming up with, back to your invocation, what you were saying about that. Like, you may want to just sit and just straight up ask your demonic self, ask your subconscious for your particular activation code, let's just say, because people in their work that they've written, that has their energy all over, like what Ravana just said, so you using their wording, their symbols and all of that, there's nothing wrong with it, but it also feeds back into them on some level, even on a minute level, it still feeds back into them. Yep. You coming up with your own invocation and your own activation code, no matter how weird it sounds, that's yours.
Facts.
Nobody else knows it. Nobody else can use it unless you give it to somebody else. But that is yours. That is particular to you and your energetic signature.
That's facts. And I like the fact that you said your activation code, because This is why earlier I said in your invocation, you should speak it out loud, especially the one you create. The reason why is because your voice, the sound of your voice, the tone and frequency and vibration in your voice is suited ideally 100% for you. So your code is found in your tones, vibrations, and frequencies. Why is that important? Because it's been discovered through science that if you speak certain things in a certain tone, frequency, vibration, it actually goes into your DNA and RNA and rewrites the code or the programming that was once there, whether it's for health, whether it's for mental health, or so on and so forth. It actually rewrites it. And that DNA then can be rewritten by you to be something that is more informative, powerful, and transformational than one can actually accept or believe until they actually, do the work to do that. Therefore, your voice, whether you sing or don't sing, I can't sing for shit, so I don't try it. Right?
Same here, no.
Exactly. But whether we can sing, not sing, rap, do poetry, it don't matter. Your voice is ideally suited for your vibrational frequency code of your body. And therefore it penetrates to your DNA. Okay. That is why when you do a ritual, no one can do it as great as you for yourself, because only you know this code. But we forget it. We forget it because unfortunately, we do give the power to others too much, right? By doing their rituals over and over. I know people, I've met people walking this path who are Michael W4 junkies. Sorry, I said what I said, okay? They're Michael W4 junkies. I mean, they could quote every goddamn book inside and out. They can tell me every ritual inside and out. And then I stop them and I say, tell me a ritual about yourself. How would you take his work, create a ritual for yourself? They're stuck like Chuck. They don't understand it because you're not
supposed to do that.
Exactly. They just pass from religion into another form of worship now. Now your guru, your teacher, the people you're reading books become a new type of messiah for you. And the problem with most people on any path, left, right, central, middle, whatever you want to call them, is that two symptoms occur in your work. Unfortunately, these two things occur. It's either outside worship or messiah self-complex. You either think you start going, you bypassing your mental health, spiritual bypassing, and also the way you cope with it is by becoming your spiritual guru master who's an incarnated Tahuti or Tooth or Toth from the past. Okay? No, stop it, people. You're not them. I don't care how profound you think your knowledge is, you're not them. Okay? This hurts people more than they realize. Okay. And then the other one, right, is that they can't get past following others, doing everything others say, as if you can't acquire all this knowledge, as if you can't obtain all this knowledge.
As in what's inside of you isn't as good.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean as much because you're not a fucking well-known YouTube scholar or fucking author or some shit. It can't be as good. How can it? You're just learning.
Exactly. And you hit that right out on the head. They don't trust themselves enough to say, well, my shit is just as good as hers or his or whatever the case, because they write books and they do videos. That don't mean a damn thing, man. Honestly, it doesn't. Because one thing I learned on any path you walk, it doesn't matter if you've been here 10 minutes or 10 years, 20 minutes or 20 years, walking a certain path. What matters is your intention and the works you put in. Okay, because I've met people that have been within something for less than a year, 2 years or something, and have more profound wisdom because of the work they put in there than people who've been doing it for 20, 30 years who sound like straight dumb idiots. Okay. This is the problem. Just because someone writes books does not make them authority over us, but you are allowing yourself to make them authority over you. Because what you don't, okay, and I'm going to tell you, You want to talk about codes? I'm gonna give you a code on how to write a book. It's not that hard, people. Okay, here's a code. Here's a code on how to write a book. You write basic concepts about, let's say, invocations, vampiric feeding, or whatever the case. You write basic concepts, but then you add part 2 to it. Part 2 is where you sell people on it. And that's by giving them your personal experience. You write your personal experience on how you got initiated, what happened to you during initiation, so on and so forth. And then you go back to giving a little more information about that particular topic. Don't believe me? Go find these books. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's right there, plain as day. This is how they sell you. Okay. So here we are, individuals reading, studying. We fall for the okie doke, which is basically now you're sensationalized by, oh my God, this happened to you on your ritual. Oh my God, this happened to your initiation. So when you go through it, if that doesn't happen to you, you feel less than that person. You feel like you didn't do anything. People, wake the hell up and realize you are the only God that is. Okay? In your life. You are the only God that is, and therefore you are the only one who has the answers to your questions. Others can give you or point you the way to find those answers, but ultimately you still gonna have to dig deep down inside of yourself. That leads to another problem, though, because sometimes we don't like what we see or hear about ourselves, so we tend to want to run away from it, leave it, hide. Oh no, this is too difficult. No, it's not. What's difficult is you avoiding yourself and keep making every excuse. That's the difficulty you create, which is why you can't get to the point of mastering yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like the brother said, listen, man, you have to be sold on yourself. No one can do that for you. You have to really trust yourself. No one can do that for you. And just because you feel you are broken doesn't mean you don't have the answers to heal yourself. You actually do, because as broken as you are, the answer's also in there.
Healing is a choice, man.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't realize that shit. A lot of people have made it their identity and solidified it so fucking thoroughly that they figure that being unhealed is a choice and healing is no longer an option.
That's true.
Just like anything that you integrate into self, it can be dismantled if you want to do it. It may be difficult, it may be heart-wrenching, it may take you down into the depths of fucking despair and depression, but you can fucking do it. It's a choice, just straight up, And just real quick, going back to what you were saying about the authors and everything, I believe it was you who said this a while back on one of your older videos, but I remember at some point I was reading a fucking book. I think it was Psychonaut. And I'm reading the book, and after I heard you say what you said, I realized that I'm not reading this shit in my voice. Like the voice in my head isn't, it's not matching up. Like it's not my fucking voice. So that meant that I'm not fully accepting self. I'm not using myself. I'm reading, even when I read a Michael W. Ford book, every once in a while, I'll hear his voice.
Exactly.
And that shit pisses me the fuck off. But it just gives me insight to know that that's something I got to work on.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Because listen, it's easy not to hear your voice because we're so flooded with external stimuli, right? That it sometimes becomes difficult to hear your own voice. We're flooded with, social media. We're flooded by YouTube and videos and classes people put out there. We're flooded by gurus online. We're flooded by this individual, that you can lose yourself in the process.
And everybody's got something to fucking sell. So
Exactly.
They're coming at you hard.
Exactly. So you can lose yourself completely, but you have to literally strip away all of that nonsense and just say, hello, I'm talking to myself and I need to do this. Okay. I need to do this. No one's going to do it for me. So this is why we are doing this topic tonight, because we noticed that people fail to realize the importance of their ritual. You could have done 1,000 rituals. You can be in a temple, in a order, whatever, and do 1,000 rituals that author or that teacher or whoever is doing in that temple. However, if at some point they don't put the power back in your hand, meaning they don't remind you that the power is yours and that now it's time for you to create rituals, they're basically feeding off your energy. Period.
Yeah, I'm trying to start a fucking cult.
Yeah, period. Because in actuality, you are the one that eventually has to take ownership over yourself.
Yeah.
Sure, walking through an order, a temple, whatever is beneficial because there's certain knowledge they have that can help you in your work. But don't get lost in there and start thinking that, oh, I'm lost now. I'm some spiritual guru now because I'm in this temple and they made me feel so great about myself. And then
I'm special now.
Yeah. And then you lose yourself in the process and forget, well, damn. Through this whole time in the temple, I only did one work that was pertaining to myself. Now you could say, oh, yeah, well, every ritual by the guru was set up for you to do work on yourself. Yes, but it's set up by someone else. Understand that. Let me repeat this again. It's set up by someone else. This is, like I said, I never expected people, when we do classes, Beniti or others, we don't expect people to stay there a long time. If you're there too long, and too long is 5 years or so, 3 years or whatever, you obviously ain't getting the point, man. You're lost, man. You're not.
That makes sense.
You're not understanding the point. The point is you ain't supposed to be under someone for too long. You're supposed to eventually say, all right, thank you for the work. Now it's time for me to continue my journey on my own, because otherwise you want them to hold your hand the whole way. That means you're still afraid to step out on your own.
Yeah, man.
You can't be afraid. You are everything. And we can't emphasize that enough, right?
And that's the other part about like following specific authors and like gurus, like you were saying, is that to some extent it extinguishes that spark of wonder and scientific exploration, because this shit is a science, and it should be explored with a sense of wonder about what you're capable of, because you're already being presented with what the outcome should be by the author or the guru.
Bingo. And if you don't match that same outcome they gave you, you think you failed. But that outcome wasn't for you. That's the point. Your outcome is going to come out different because it came out the way you needed it.
Exactly.
Not matching
the failure shouldn't bum you out.
Exactly.
That's the other part. That's the scientific part. That's the wonder part. The failure shouldn't fucking bum you out. The failure should give you greater insight into who the fuck you are and how your processes run on a very deep, intimate basis.
Exactly. And you mentioned something that I think a lot of that I'm going to reiterate here. Exploration. You're on this journey to explore. Listen to this carefully when I expound on this. You're on this journey to explore yourself, the depths of yourself. That is a monumental task. But the reason I say it is because we are infamous as people on compartmentalizing everything and not integrating everything about ourselves. We think my spiritual life has to be separate from my work life. My work life has to be separate from my sex life. My sex life has to be separate from my, let's say, skills or talents or hobbies.
That goes back to that superhero shit.
Yeah.
That programming as a child. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you're exploring yourself, the exploration is about integrating all those aspects and understanding all of them are you. All of it is you. There is no difference between the work life, the hobby, the sexual, none of that. But when you compartmentalize, it leads to guilt, remorse, and separation of the self. So you'll think, okay, well, I create music, or I'm an artist, or whatever the case is. So I have to separate time just to do that. And then when I'm doing it, oh my God, I'm taking time away from doing this.
Yeah.
And we never allow ourselves to just flow in the moment. Flow in the moment. You are and should be integrated. When you feel creative, that's all you. When you feel nourishing and motherly or fatherly, that's all you. When you feel sexual and you want to just run up a wall and just scratch at the wall because you're just overly charged, that's all you. The problem is you're not giving yourself an outlet on how to do these things and integrate them. So what happens is people end up sneaking around, doing stuff behind people's back, doing all this, separating this, and then they get a wake-up call. Yo, I'm playing myself. Yo, I hurt this person. I did this, that. And this is what leads to fragmentation. You're fracturing yourself further than what you already are, because you're failing to realize all these things must be explored. How many of y'all, and yeah, I'm asking y'all in the chat room, how many of y'all can say you really explored your creative gifts? Don't answer all right away. Take your time, but type it in there. And then while you're typing, if you say, yes, I have, I got something for you. If you have, what have you done with it? Okay. So if you explored it but did nothing with it, how much did you really explore it? That's one. Two, how many of y'all have really explored your sexuality? And if you tell me, well, I'm very sexual, I'm a sexual being, that don't mean a damn thing to me, because some of the most sexual beings are some of the most confused, hurt, and separated sexual individuals you can have. Just because you bang out, and I said this recently, just because you bang out doesn't mean you explored your sexuality, because you might just be exploring your sexuality one way and one way only, thinking I have to stay within this parameters because of external judgment or this or that or that.
Fucking
you understand?
Morality, man. Morality and that
exactly.
old programming.
Right. So I have to
shit is nothing but repression.
Exactly. So I have to stick to it this way, and I can only do it this way. So yeah, you have a lot of partners, or have had a lot of partners, but you never went deep into exploring that. I'm talking about putting on a diving suit, scuba gear, and just like swimming deep in that fucker and saying, God damn, I'm fucking wild. Yes, you may be. You may be, but you will never know these things until you go deep inside of there and say, you know what? This is me, and I have to stop playing with it. Okay. A lot of that comes from a hurt childhood too, because we could have seen our parents, for example. We could have seen our parents. My parents were together to the age of 13. When I was 13, my mom and dad divorced. So my pivotal teenage years, my dad wasn't really there. He was there, but he was away. Okay. And he was the type of dad, I'm gonna be there for y'all. And when you go to college, I'm gonna be there. Well, none of them shits happened, right? So anyways, I saw him less and less and less.
Mine just said he was going to Hawaii and never came back.
Yeah, see, that's the fuckery, right? So, so we are told this by our dads or whatever, and then they're not really there when we need them. Your teenage years are very, very pivotal, especially. I'm speaking as a man, so I can only answer as a man. It's very pivotal for a man because this is when you're learning about life, especially learning it from a boy or young man's perspective. If you don't have your an adult figure, especially a male adult figure, there, it can become very difficult to navigate through all this, because the example some of us saw is what we play out. Now, some scientists have said that 95% of your programming is observable, meaning we were observing something and it became a programming, not so much what we were told or heard. It was more so what we saw. Okay. So if I saw my daddy say, I love your mama, but I see him cheating, which I did, right? And catch him in the act cheating, then you see the contradictions we are taught as men. And then we think it's fine for us to do the same thing later. Years later, now we're in a relationship and we don't realize that we're carrying out the exact programming our dad did because we observed him doing that shit. Okay. We observed them doing that. We observed them justifying it. Okay. And then we going to carry it out later. So then what happens is we continue our hurt. And now we are expanding on that hurt and perpetuating that hurt unto others. And therefore breaking down and creating more hurt, more hurt. But on this path, you have to be responsible. That's what it means to be a God. That's what it means to reach apotheosis. You have to be responsible for who you hurt, how you hurt them, but more importantly, how you hurt yourself, because the hurt is within you. Okay. And this hurt within you is making you carry out this behavior, this observed behavior that I'm justifying that it's okay to behave like this because my daddy did it, my uncle did it. You know what I'm saying? My dad was the type. Y'all know I don't share a lot of personal shit, but fuck it, tonight I'm testifying, goddammit. Anyways, no, my daddy's the type that he used to be like, I'll meet you at the park. I'll meet you at the park because we were going to play baseball, right? I'll meet you at the park. So he don't show up right away. I go looking for him, and he over there in the corner sneaking, smoking some weed, trying to hide it from me. Now, I think it's okay to sneak around and do stuff because I keep seeing him do this. You understand? So now we keep repeating this, and then we keep repeating this hurt unto ourselves. We hurt ourselves over and over because of these things. So if I observe this behavior, it is more deeply embedded in me than hearing things. Observing them is why many kids say, I don't want to be like my mom or my dad or whatever. If you came from a, dysfunctional family or broken household or whatever. But then guess what, man? Most of us end up being just like our daddy or my mom, right? We end up being just like them, even though we don't want to be like them.
Yeah, man.
So that comes from fractured. We are fractured individuals, and we think that each part of us that is compartmentalized has to continue to stay like that. So I'm living multiple lives within one life. This is where the mental illnesses continue getting worse right now on the planet.
Yeah, man.
Because we are living multiple lives and don't realize why or where it's taking place. And then if we do, we don't know how to fix it because we're always externalizing things. So this is the importance of why self-created rituals are most necessary, because only you know that problem inside yourself. Okay. And
the
therefore
of that fucking problem, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why we don't get by things, because we keep perpetuating and enabling those things. And then there's the caveat to this. We'll find a partner that continues enabling our behavior. We won't find a partner that confronts us, because when we do find a partner that's confronted us, making us face ourselves, they're an asshole. I don't want to be around them. They're this, they're this, they're this. So I'm going to seek the bad guy, the bad girl, who's just going to enable and promote my behavior. Okay. My behavior that is fractured and traumatized. They're just going to enable it because they enjoy my dysfunction. They enjoy the pain I'm living through, because they themselves are broken. And that's how we continue this idiotic crap over and over. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start taking questions for y'all. But I know it takes y'all a minute to rev it up. Okay. So start writing questions for our brother Beast of Lavatory or myself. When you write the question, state who the question is addressed to. You could say at Beast Laboratory, at Ravana Nuun. Please do that so we don't get confused who it's for, who is not. Okay. If it's in general, just say this is a general question for both of you. But start typing your questions. I know y'all have questions because y'all can't be sitting there playing with yourselves thinking that you don't have questions. People often don't ask questions in lectures like this, and I realize sometimes why they don't do that. They think their question is wrong. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
The question is wrong when you don't ask it. That's when it's wrong. It's every bit right of what you want to ask, but you are afraid how you may be judged, how others may perceive it, so on and so forth. Screw that. This is your chance for individuals who have some experience walking is to share some, some information that may jumpstart you or whatever the case may be. So please ask those questions.
Yeah, man. Because that goes right back into the scientific exploration thing, and the wonder thing. We grow up and we learn that we're not good enough and that we're dumb or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That wonder goes right back to what you were talking about, the inner child. The inner child, the kid that sits on the front porch and wonders how a bird sticks to the sky. I remember that's how I used to think about it. It's just that we grow up and we realize that that's childish and is not okay, but it's fucking beautiful and it should always be expanded upon.
Exactly. All right. Okay. So Eric Jones. All right. This is a general question for both of us, brother. So we'll each take a turn.
All right.
Eric Jones says, in general, have either of you done dream magic rituals with sigils to communicate with entities? And if so, any tips? Go ahead.
Dream magic. I don't remember doing any kind of dream magic that involved sigils. But the one thing that I can come up with is, or I should say the memory I can pull up is going into trance using sigils in order to program something that I wish to see happen. But yeah, that's the only experience I've got with that, really.
Okay, cool. All right, Eric Jones. Now, yes, there's certain sigils you can use that help with going into dream states to allow you to communicate with entities. A lot of that's done in the astral plane anyways, because a lot of dreams take place in the astral realm. But yes, there is ways to do that. One of the things I would tell you is find a ritual of a particular entity. Find a sigil of a particular entity and meditate on that sigil as you're lying in your bed. Okay. You can have a candle, a nice soft candle. You don't want more than one because you want the room to be fairly dark. Meditate on the center point of that sigil. All sigils have a center point until you feel yourself being sucked in to the sigil. And this should be happening as you are close to falling into sleep or slumbering off into sleep. Don't do this while you just get into bed and you're still wired and stuff. Do this as you feel yourself getting sleepy. Okay. Then reach for the sigil as you're getting sleepy and then light the candle and look at that and feel yourself being drawn into the sigil as you're falling asleep. Okay. Remember, the sigil has to be the particular entity you choose of your choosing. And then you'll find yourself being sucked into the sigil and falling asleep, and you'll receive communication that way. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're doing that work. Always do it as you're falling asleep. Don't make the mistake of doing it as soon as you get into bed. You're still too wired. You'll know when you're starting falling asleep because your eyes start getting heavy.
And you start to feel that body buzz.
Yep, exactly. So reach in. All right. This is a good question here, too. Iriduli, general to anyone. Any rituals or methods to do exorcisms on oneself to remove, destroy parasitic, annoying, parasitic, intrusive entities? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, brother. You could take the first gander.
Well, as far as like eliminating parasitic entities, I found that cord cutting is very fucking effective. Cord cutting is very effective. Also another one that I've used on and off is just walking around your house or in your purse or whatever the fuck with just an egg, a raw egg, and doing your best to take care of that egg, pouring love and attention into that egg. That amplifies love and care within yourself. But since eggs have, I mean, from what I feel energetically, eggs have a magnetic pull on them. Shit will be drawn into that thing as well. You know, so you're amplifying love from within. That's automatically going to get any kind of fucking parasitic shit the fuck away from you because you're raising your vibration.
Yep.
You know, it gets drawn into the fucking egg. Fucking throw that shit into the fucking woods, throw it into a fucking gutter, fucking take a shit on it and throw it somewhere. I don't know, but just let it know that it's not welcome.
That's cool. That's true. That's very true. Now, I'm gonna probably give a couple answers to that exorcism question. Okay. First of all, try to identify, and you could do this by focusing on going inward to yourself and focusing on that parasitic entity, intrusive entity. You can figure out what it is. Okay. Vampirically, I devour that fucker. I don't play with it. I don't even give it an opportunity to exist. I will devour that. I will literally suck the living crap out of that parasite, that intrusive entity, and eliminate its very existence. That's why I tell y'all vampire magic is no joke, because in vampirism, we don't play with entities. We are the entity. We are the god. So anything that tries to exist within me as a parasite or is trying to intrude within me has to go.
Straight up, yeah.
And that doesn't call for sometimes, and it's just one way. Okay, it's not the only way. It doesn't call for sweet talk, love talk. Sometimes depends on the parasite. Okay, just remember that. Sometimes you do need to do the sweet talk and love talk. But if that parasite is annoying, intrusive to the point that it's getting in your way in a very adverse way, you need to destroy the fucker.
Yeah.
By devouring the living crap out of it. How do you do that? Well, I'll give you a little bit. I'm not going to go too far into it because it's a very complex ritual. But what I can tell you is this. First of all, you have to visualize yourself taking a journey within yourself, almost like you're swimming inside of yourself, but you're veiling yourself to look like another entity, not a human, but some other entity. And as you go within, as you're breathing deep, you should be breathing deep in your nose, out your mouth, which from coming from the diaphragm. As you're doing that, you're taking a form of a beast. I take a beast-like form, and I visualize myself entering my body. However you want to, if you want to use an orifice, if you want to use something, you enter inside your body, and in this beast-like form, you are swimming inside yourself looking for where the parasite has hooked into you.
Holy shit.
What area it's dwelling inside of you? Because most parasites find one location inside of you. And it's usually the location that is the most hurt, the most toxic. And I don't mean toxic as in you're a toxic person. I mean toxic as in there's health issues in that area.
Yeah.
Okay. So you find this, but why you take a beast-like form is because you can't let the entity that's there see that it's you. You have to look like a foreign entity to it, that it can't place you in that location. Say, oh, you trying to get me out of here. You kind of almost got to come there like, yo, I'm trying to work with you to feed off this person too. It's fuckery and trickery, but you got to do it, okay? Because there's no morals in vampirism. There's a very amoral path. So as you pinpoint where this entity's at, okay, that's when the real work begins. You now found the location. Now you take that entity and you begin to suck them, drive their living force, their life force. And there's a method to that. It's a vampiric breathing method that is similar to yoga, but it's a little different, okay? Instead of breathing in, you breathe in and out at the same time quickly, okay? And therefore you're sucking them in like it's almost like you're creating a vacuum or a pump. And you do it
like a circular motion.
Exactly. And you do it because you're surrounding the energy around there to suck them out. Okay. Once you suck out that entity, you must immediately deposit that entity into an object, right? You can put it in a crystal, obsidian crystal, let's say. You could put it in a jar. And once you do, you can throw it in the forest. You could go to the ocean. You could go to a river and deposit that mother effer at the bottom of the deepest part of the abyss of the ocean if you're able to get out there. If not, you throw it as far as you can. Hopefully you don't hit someone when you throw this fucker, but you throw it down there and it gets trapped within the abyss. Okay? That's just one way. All right? The vampiric way to me is more effective because sometimes we got to get deep down and dirty with these entities. You got to understand certain entities ain't there to be your best friend. They ain't there to love you. They ain't there to like you. They're there to bring complete chaos and turmoil into your life. So you got to let them know who's the boss and that you're the boss over your body. No one's the boss over your body but you. And they have no right to exist within you. And the way you do that is you force them out of you. Okay? You force them out of you. It's almost like if you had a parasite, physical parasite, like worms inside of your body, right? And you're trying to do a detox. The herbs that are designed for this detox are designed to extract the parasite by making what the parasite is feeding off of toxic to the parasite. And therefore, the parasite has no choice but to unhook or let go of this area and no longer feed. You have to force it out the same way. That's one of the ways to do that vampirically. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to give part two. Brother Beast of Laboratories that's one example. That was the second example. I don't want to take too much time because I know other people got questions. All right. Tonk Ray, this is for both of us. If you hit a mental block in your work and you take a break, do you write it down and then come back at it after a certain amount of time? Or do you let your intuition guide you back to it?
I allow my intuition to guide me back to it because most of the time, if it's a mental block, it's something that resides within me. It's not something it's not an external thing. It's something that came up during the meditation or something like that. It's something from my subconscious mind. So my intuition that feeling will always be there of it resonating, basically. Now, especially now it's been seen. So my intuition definitely will just guide me right back to the issue because it hasn't been solved. There's nothing, I haven't done anything with it. It's just sitting there, fucking smiling, talking shit, you know?
Yeah.
So my intuition always will lead me straight back to it.
Yeah, that's correct. I as well do allow my intuition to guide me and let me know when I'm ready. However, I'm going to add something to this. While you are experiencing this mental block, find something completely opposite to do. Find something completely opposite to do to get your mind away from the fact you have a mental block. Get into something creative if you have hobbies. Go, if you love sports, watch sports, go to a sporting event, participate in sports, do what you do. Go into the gym and work out hard if that's something you enjoy to do. But get your mind completely off of it, because what happens is, yes, we let our intuition guide us, but our intuition sometimes is blocked from even guiding us back because we're still focusing on it subconsciously. And why do I have a mental block? Understand? You have to literally take your mind off of the problem and focus on something 100% completely different. Okay. So that mental block exists. If you're not doing something opposite, that mental block will still be there, and your intuition will have a problem, may have difficulty letting you know it's time to get back to it. Because you're so focused on it subconsciously, now you're focused on it too, it's not going to help you. So you literally have to create something opposite. That's why I gave examples: sports, dancing, poetry, whatever it is that is you feel is opposite for you. Get into it.
That makes total sense, because if you're constantly focused on what's bothering you, you're adding anxiety and you're adding stress more than likely to something that's already fucking with you. I mean, like, what's the point? What's the point of just adding more stress and anxiety onto something that's already stressing you out? You know,
Exactly.
You're just being cruel to yourself in a way. Very religious if you think about it.
Very. All right. So, Cosmic Serpent, question for us both. What was an extremely transformative ritual you created for yourself that worked?
Extremely transformative ritual I've created for myself that worked. The invocation of my daemon, really. You know, the invocation of my daemon. Once I had a pretty good idea of the symbols associated with it, the words, the names, the fucking like just the colors, things like this that were associated with my daemon in specific, then I went into intuitively and clairaudiently allowing myself to create a ritual that was specifically for that type of communication with that entity, with that part of myself. And it's transformed over the years. I've dropped some things, I've gained some things, but it's always at its core highly creative and meant to be very effective and short and sweet, really. So yeah, that's the one I got.
True. All right. So here's two rituals I created. One, the Abaddon ritual of the destruction of the self. That's one of the rituals I created. Some of y'all might have done it in some of the classes if you were in a class. Essentially, you're using that Abaddon energy to go within the self and destroy things that you are making excuses for still existing. Okay. Or destroying things that no longer benefit you or serve you. Keep that in mind, because it's important when you do this work that you are aware of what it is that you're even focusing on. For example, one of the things I do, let's say in the shadow work class, is I have people face themselves, use mirrors and different things, and I have them face themselves and discover weaknesses about themselves they are aware of or unaware of. Once you know what these weaknesses are, you then start to understand if this weakness can be transmuted or needs to be totally eliminated. You have to first have a game plan for what you're destroying or eliminating or transmuting. So you have to do deep discovery within yourself to know what it is that you're going to use and what areas need to be focused on to then spark the transformation. Another ritual I created that also assisted in transformative work and transformation within self was a ritual I created that is honoring the vampiric self, honoring the self as a vampire. Remember something about a vampire, okay? Vampires who really work on vampire magic don't worship anything but themselves. They really don't worship or believe in a lot of the archetypes, entities, deities, demons, so on and so forth. That doesn't mean that they don't understand it. It doesn't mean a lot of things. They just feel that they are the only God that is. And therefore their focus is exclusively on themselves. When you honor the vampiric self, you're honoring every part of yourself that we sometimes deny, don't focus on, or want to ignore as if it's not a part of you. As time has gone on, I found out certain things about myself that I look back now, and if I was younger, I'd say, yo, you tripping. But now that I'm older, I'm like, it is what it is. This is a part of me. And there's no need to wrestle with these things, knowing that these things are still there. If they're still there, that means there is a very strong likelihood that it is completely a part of who you are. By honoring that part of yourself, no matter how strange, weird, crazy, whatever it is may be, you're just really just, playing yourself. You have to honor every part of yourself, integrate every part of yourself. So honoring the vampiric self is like an integration ritual. It's integrating the demonic, the light side, or the day side and the night side. Vampires really understand the night side and day side. The day side is the day side work has a lot to do with mastering your physical existence. Okay, becoming a business owner, if that's what you choose to do. If you're an artist, focusing on your artistic abilities and expanding them. Abundance, financial abundance, prosperity, wealth, your health, working out, exercising. That's the day side for a vampire. That's mastering the day side, things you do within the day side. The night side is mastering the true self, the demonic self. Okay. And working on that part of yourself is essential as well. But we understand both sides are necessary, as opposed to a lot of people in the occult and conscious communities, different things. They try to separate themselves even more, even though they feel they have so much profound knowledge, blah, blah, blah. They do great jobs of separating themselves. They always do this repetitive crap of you gotta stay in the light, love the light, keep away the darkness. Superhero movies do that. Hollywood movies do that. Everything is keeping you away from darkness, right?
Yeah.
And they do this purposely to keep you away from darkness, because in the darkness is where your true self is found at. So I got to keep you away from yourself by keeping you merging into the light. The light is right. The light is good. The light. Everything is the light. And you got to wonder after a while, why are you constantly beating this crap over my head? The light. It's a reason for that. It's to keep you blinded, confused, away from yourself. keeping you always worshiping others, begging and asking for assistance and help and blah, blah, blah. There's where the problem comes in. So therefore, that is one of the works I did, is really honoring the self, right? Honoring that part of the self. Now, let me go back up here. On the parasitic entities, does this go for archonic entities or demiurge beings also? It goes for any entities.
Anything that you don't fucking want in your space is hooked into you. It goes for everything. Fucking undead, human shit, all of that. As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Exactly, because anything that doesn't belong there, that's trying to be a parasite off you, needs to go.
It's got to go one way or another, either through devouring or fucking putting it in some shit. It's got to go straight up. It's taking away from your power.
Yep. All right, so Tom Gray says that makes sense. Scientists have said that when you are working on something and you take a break and do something else, your subconscious mind stays working to solve what you were working on. Correct.
Mm.
You give your mind, subconscious mind, a new focus, and it will stay focused on that task. Therefore, allowing that mental block to not even be focused on will start to dissipate that block.
That's true.
Sometimes we want to rush back into it. Oh, yeah, look at, I'm doing all this stuff. Let me go back in here. And then, nope, star is still not working. Block is still there. When you get into something else, it could take you months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, doesn't matter. It could take you months.
Yeah, I think the initial shock of whatever it is, that mental block coming up, is what makes a lot of people, well, I know I've been guilty of it, you know, is the initial shock is what held it in the forefront of my mind for so long, and didn't really allow my subconscious to, like you said, just dissolve it, basically.
Yeah. So this is the work we're at. This is what we're doing. Okay. I don't see any other questions, so please post your questions if you have any other ones.
Yeah, please do.
Creating your own rituals is essential. Okay, going back around and swinging back to that, it is essential. Too many people rely on others to do rituals for them. As we discussed earlier, it could be lack of confidence. It could be, a lot of different things, but you have to literally take it upon yourself to create your own rituals. You are your own God. No one can do that for you. You have to be your own God. You have to take control of your life. You have to take charge of your life. So when you create your own ritual, put down other people's books. Step 1. Step 2, clear your mind. Take a walk in the park. Take a walk around along the shore of the ocean. Take a walk somewhere before you begin to focus on working in your craft, meaning creating your own rituals. That is essential. Take time away and focus on the self. Really learn why you're doing the ritual. Don't just do the ritual because, I watched Beast and Ravana. They were talking about creating my own ritual, so let me now do it. And then you don't really realize why you're doing it. You should have a purpose for a ritual. There should always be a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. You should have a supreme purpose of why you're doing it. Otherwise than that, the ritual is still good. You're starting to emphasize your sovereignty and your power over yourself, but have a purpose for doing it, because the purpose of working this craft is for results. You should be doing it for results. Your results is the marker that what you're doing is working for you. Okay. Some of us, our blockages are so strong and deep that we can't even get to a point where we get results. Some of us are programmed so heavy, we can't even get results. That is something that sometimes we got to really focus on that. Sometimes I'm not going to get results because I'm so blocked and cluttered inside me that even if I got a result, I would question it. I would doubt it. I would, not really see it. That happens quite often. We have to really start, like focusing on the self and being confident within the self and understanding these weaknesses. In my Sith classes, I say this quite often because I hope people catch it one day. In the Sith classes, I have 14 challenges. These are physical, mental, and spiritual challenges, and they're there for a reason. Because what I discover is when a person challenges themselves, when they really challenge themselves on this path, left-hand path in particular, adversarial path, is when they reap the greatest results. If you're not challenging yourself, you can get results, but they're not going to be as monumental. And I'm going to tell you why. You have to literally challenge yourself beyond what you consider to be your limitations.
Yeah, man.
You have to challenge yourself beyond your limitations. As a Sith, there's physical limitations you may have, or should I say, think you have. So, for example, I'm in the gym 5 to 6 times a day. I mean, not a day, goddamn, I'd be dead. Anyways, I'm in the gym 6 times a week, and I have a trainer, and I meet with the trainer quite often. One thing I learned by being with my trainer is the trainer helps you push beyond your limitations. I'm doing a bench press, right? I'm bench pressing, let's say 200, 250, whatever. And you're there bench pressing and the body wants to say, hell no. I'm not trying to lift this one more time, right? I'm not trying to. But let's say you have 2 more reps to go. I'm at 12 and I got to get to 14. You're sitting there like, and your body's trembling. You're trying to push it.
I'm sorry, rude as fuck, but I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, brother. So right there, you sometimes need to push beyond your limitation because your mind's trying to convince you that you can't go no more, but you can. But your mind's trying to convince you can't go no more, and you push and you gain greater results because you push beyond your limitations. One of the things I used to say in videos years ago, because I've seen some people have been like remixing some of my older videos, which I appreciate. And trust me, when I'm done with a video, the likelihood of me watching the video is next to none. You guys get me when you say, oh, you remember when you said that? Nope, I don't. I don't, because once I'm done with the video, I rarely go back and watch it. You guys remind me, so that's what makes me go back. But anyways, one of the things you got to understand now is I always used to say you got to push yourself beyond your borders, boundaries, and limitations. That doesn't mean you can't have healthy boundaries, but sometimes your healthy boundaries are not really as healthy as you think because they're there because of stubbornness. They're there because of various reasons, because you're afraid to expand your boundary a little more to create a new boundary. So you still stay within a certain parameter, let's say. You should push beyond your borders, boundaries, and limitations. This goes for every aspect of your life. You should push yourself beyond your borders, boundaries, and limitations. If you feel that I can't walk a mile today, for that very reason, you should go out there and try to walk that mile because your mind's trying to convince you can't. But yes, you can. You'd be amazed at how resilient our physical bodies are. So always push yourself beyond your borders, boundaries, limitations. Your borders and boundaries, limitations sometimes are self-created. Well, usually they're self-created as a way of being comfortable or staying in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
I used to say this in older videos too. If you're comfortable walking this adversarial path, left-hand path, you ain't doing work. You should never be comfortable on this path. You should always be in a state of uncomfortability. Always. Always. We should be like Set, Satuch, in the eye of the storm within our own chaos, but still being in control. Okay? But experiencing the chaos, learning from the chaos, expanding through the chaos. but still remaining in control to the point that you can benefit from what's making you feel uncomfortable. Push yourself to being an uncomfortable individual.
Yeah. The thing that I like, just real quick, is about, well, back to the Sith, is one of the things that they say about Sith is that they always wear clothing or items or armor that's just a little bit uncomfortable, so that they're always in a constant state of uncomfortability, and that builds upon their power. That keeps their power always up and running. You know, I've always loved that.
Exactly. And here's the key. You just made a key statement. Having a suit, right? Like Darth Vader. Darth Vader was always in constant pain. Y'all saw what happened to him.
Constant fucking pain. He was on drugs 24/7.
Yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi sliced him up, right? He was in constant pain. That suit that was made was purposely made by Darth Sidious, the Emperor, to keep Vader in pain, because when Vader was in pain, angry and all this, he had more power. Understand this. The concept behind that and why the Sith do that, as the brother Beast just said. You have to learn how your pain, your uncomfortability has more power behind it than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
It really can propel you. Remember, this is an adversarial path, so I'm not promoting peace, love, and light here. Okay? If you're a Jedi, go to the Jedi side. I'm not dealing with Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay?
We don't want Jedi over here.
Exactly. We want pain. We want pain. If Sith were taken out of the movie and brought into this world, you know what a lot of Sith be doing? BDSM. Yes, they would. A lot of them.
I thought you were going to say extermination.
No, that too. That too. But I'm dealing with, we ain't gonna go that far yet, but
all right.
They would a lot of them would be into BDSM. BDSM is sometimes one of the most misunderstood kinks, fetishes, or sexual, experiences that one can have. Trust me, I'm not co-signing BDSM and y'all like, oh, Ravana wearing whips and chains. Nah, son. If I do, you would never know. That's happening in the darkness. But anyways, but what I'm saying is a lot of them go to the extreme because they realize through pain is pleasure. That's an old adage. Through pain is pleasure.
That's real shit. I was watching a movie last night where sex and violence were so intimately connected.
For years, all that's been there for years right in front of us.
Yeah.
This is why some of y'all, I'm gonna bring it out now. This is why some of y'all like to, be play choked when you having sex. Some of y'all don't turn away from the screen and say, oh my God, is he reading me? Nope, I'm not. It's just kind of obvious. Some of y'all that are watching this video like to be play choked. Where do you think that comes from? It's because you like pain that gives you pleasure. Some of you like to be spanked. Yep, I said it. Some of y'all like to be spanked. Don't get blushy now, people. Don't hide. Don't look away. No, I don't. Yes, you do. Some of you like to be spanked, and you like to be spanked to the point that you're feeling certain kind of pain. Pain is it can lead to an altered state of consciousness. Through that altered state of consciousness, you receive gnosis, self-gnosis, not hypnosis, self-gnosis. All right. That's right, Mercer Baron. Pain is my energy. Used to say it years ago and didn't understand why. Exactly. Pain is your energy. Pain is your focus. Pain gives you strength. So
pain
this
is your greatest fucking teacher, man. Like you just said.
Yeah. This is why we got to understand the dynamics beyond what we're allowing ourselves to understand about the left-hand path. It's very vast. It's a very sinister path. And sinisterism goes beyond what we consider the norm. If you're on this left-hand path and you're still in the norm, doing the norm, you might want to challenge yourself and step outside of the norm things. Just because you dress goth, and there's no disrespect to anybody, doesn't mean you're outside of the norm, because there's a whole community of goth out there. Why don't you step outside of the goth and do something completely opposite than you're used to? Why don't you come out the house one day rocking a Kango, some fat ass Adidas with some fat shoelaces, and Adidas suit, and experience that side of the world?
Or just
Go
come
back
out
and
wearing
forth.
all fucking white. How about
Yeah.
that?
Come out looking like you just been baptized. There you go. Come out looking like you just been baptized. I'm saying
With
these
the
are just
church shoes and
examples.
everything.
Yeah. These are just examples of what you should do to propel yourself beyond the limitations that you give yourself. So for example, look at the Agora, right? The Agora of India, who practice Vama Marga. Here's this. People here want to be so tantric that if they really knew Tantra from the Agora perspective, they'd probably be turned off, right? Here's the real deal. The Agora go against society. That's where their left-hand path concept comes from. The left-hand path is the female path in yoga, right? In Vama Marga, it's the female path. It's where you experience the feminine energy, not the feminine energy we've been brainwashed to accept, but also the chaotic, the destructive side of the feminine energy. Because women, when y'all angry, look, it's best to just walk away, brothers. Okay. Anyway, so the Agora, they understand this. So they do things in extreme, right? The path of the taboo. So they'll take ash, which is considered sacred in India, and they'll rub it all over their body, almost shitting on society's standards, society's morality, and shitting on them and saying that the path of taboo leads to the path of self-mastery, divine, what they want to say. That's what you have to understand. What are your taboo things? Create a ritual about it. This y'all homework, right? This y'all homework. One of your first rituals you should create is a ritual to face your taboos. That's part one. Now, out of your taboos, I've done this in some of the classes. It was really fun. Now, part two to that is once you discover what your taboos are, you must pick one of them and participate in. Within, God damn it, let me say this because, I don't like doing disclaimers, but this is YouTube, so you got to be careful sometimes. So I'm going to put a disclaimer here. Within legal bounds.
Thank you for saying that shit, man. Thank you.
Within legal bounds, face your taboos and then participate in it. Okay? Because y'all ain't going to point the finger at me and say, he said it. Nope, I said within legal bounds. Okay? Do a ritual to find your taboos, and then 2, participate in it. You will see how transformative it is and how much self-gnosis you will receive. So I'm saying gnosis. Okay?
It's super therapeutic as well.
Yeah.
Because then you have, it's so much easier to just accept that part of yourself.
Yeah.
Because it may be something that you've seen on and off and that it unnerved you or made you feel a certain way. So you just kind of ignored it. But if you create a ritual surrounding it, that would lead you to accepting it, towards integrating it into who you are. Yeah.
Exactly. So my brother Tom Gray adds on, the Agori have a practice of doing things that disgust or irritate the initiate until they no longer are bothered by it. Then they move on to the next taboo that irks them. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So listen, y'all face this now. Right? It just ain't me saying this now. There's people who've been doing this for thousands of years, walking this left-hand path long before we were on the scene, long before Western left-hand path existed. Over there in the East, they were doing this stuff. Okay. Y'all need to find these things and do it. That's your homework. That's your homework. Exactly. Avernell Johnson, my good friend here, says her mantra as a trainer is pain is weakness leaving the body. Apply it to every type of pain experienced. Let me say that again for y'all. She's
like
a real nice one. My mantra as a trainer is pain is weakness leaving the body. Apply it to every type of pain experienced. Okay? Your weaknesses should be mastered. Period. All right? So take that pain, and I know what she's talking about because now I'm addicted to the pain of working out. I'm addicted to feeling sore sometimes. I'm addicted to all those things now. It's like if I don't go to the gym, I feel like I betrayed my body. Okay? Because the pain is become something I seek because I know it's transforming me. All right? So I don't see any more questions. So let's finish this off. Brother Beast, give them your contact information once again, and then your closing statement for them to chew on while they finish the night off.
All right. Well, my TikTok and my Instagram are both the same. Beast a Laboratory. And you can, feel free to direct message me. Hit me up with questions, inquiries about altar pieces, talismans, anything like that. Yeah, and my big cartel shop is called Demonical Eye, and you should be able to get to Demonical Eye through the link that's both in my TikTok and my Instagram page.
Perfect.
And as far as a closing statement is concerned, the first one that I want to come up with is it may sound corny as shit, but just straight up, don't fucking give up. Don't fucking let up on yourself. Because, like I said the last time I was on here, this shit ain't easy. You're going to hit many roadblocks. You're going to hit many times where you're confused, where you may feel a little bit paranoid. But if you channel your willpower towards not giving up, and also the sadness that will come probably from giving up, if you channel your willpower towards that, you'll be fucking unstoppable. You will always have success. Always. And like I said earlier, in your failures, you should find the success. You should find the lesson. Always. So don't fucking give up. Keep going.
True. That's facts. All right, so let me give my closings. Let me give my contact information already. You already know most of this. Temple of the I almost said the old name. Temple of the Black Serpent on YouTube. Temple of the Black Serpent on Instagram. My email is the Vampire Temple of the Black Serpent. And you could also check out the Patreon page. Temple of the Black Serpent is one page. The other page is Sith Temple of Darkness. All right. We have various classes: Vampire class, Tunnels of Set, Clip-Off, which is basically Tunnels of Set. Then we're going to expand it to the Clip-Off and do work there. The work is amazing. Demetrius is creating a lot of the rituals. His rituals are really working and expanding, pushing people to greater heights. Okay. So check out those classes check it out, get what you need, keep moving. All right. Also, the next individual that I'll have on here, and I need to reach out to her, would be the Cosmic Serpent. I'm going to get her back on in July. Okay. I'm going to get her back on in July. Any other individuals, let me say this now, please hear what I'm saying. Any other individuals you guys would like me to have a discussion with on here? I'm not talking about no big wig, high authority people y'all want to worship or like or read books from. I'm talking about people, regular people who are walking this path, who have something to say. That's who I want on here. I'm not trying to get the big wigs on here. No, I'm done with that. All right. I like having people like us, just regular, insightful people who just work in their craft and can share with others as well. Hit me up on the email and say, look, check out this person. Maybe we could get them on here. So on and so forth. Remember, no big wigs. Big wigs. You want an example? Michael W. Ford, E.A. Quetting, Astronaut Mason, so on and so forth. No, none of the big wigs. I'm talking about people that are doing left-hand path, but a lot of people may not know because they don't have the viewership. Okay. So on and so forth. We're going to support those type of people because people need to hear them. Okay. So that's that. Now, closing statement. You are the only God that is. Therefore, as a God, stop praying, stop worshiping, stop giving your power to others. Take the power for yourself and transform yourself. Okay? That doesn't mean you can't work with archetypes, deities, energies. Just always remember you're still the only God that is. And if you work with an archetype, a deity, God, goddess, whatever, you should be able to use that power and energy to go within yourself and transform yourself. Okay? So that's always going to be my motto. You are the only God that is. So therefore, act like it. Do the work that's necessary and be that. I know Brother Beniti is going to have the Journey of the Black Adder conference at the end of October again this year. So I'm just putting it out there. This year, I plan to be there. I plan to definitely be there this year. Things should go our way. Now that we've got out of COVID and other stuff and all this stuff, I'm definitely planning to go and be there this year. So hopefully I see some of y'all there. Okay. Journey Black Adder Conference is a weekend conference that deals with left hand path. We have lectures, rituals, things like this. If you've never done a group ritual on the left hand path with 10, 15, 20 or more people, y'all should be there just for that. There's a change that takes place within you when you do a ritual with like-minded individuals. Boy, if you had a blockage, those blockages start to leave with the power that is cultivated and harnessed within a group ritual. So do yourself a favor, reach out to Brother Beniti, Primordial Chaos, and get yourself a seat at the Journey of the Black Adder conference. All right. That being said, I will talk to y'all later. Infernal blessings to all. Bye-bye.
All right. Later. Thanks for hanging out.
Yep. All right. So you're still on here, right?